Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you again for joining Lisa, Sarah, and I for another week on Wake Up and Dream podcast. We're so excited you guys are here. This is going to be a good one. I feel like we say that every week, but we just get really excited to come together, the three of us, and just bring up some topics, bring up some quotes that are inspiring us or getting our minds thinking a little bit, challenging each other, challenging ourselves. And Sarah actually has been reading a new book recently and came across this quote by Michael Singer. And it is, "To attain true inner freedom, you must be able to objectively watch your problems instead of being lost in them." So I think we should just kick it off with Sarah and how she kind of found this quote, what inspired her the most, and which, tell me again the name of the book that this is out of?
So the book is The Untethered Soul: The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael Singer. I think he actually just came out with another book kind of similar to this one. I can't remember the name of it. I'm gonna have to look that up. I will definitely be getting that one after I'm done with this. I'm only like 50 pages in, and this book has been so amazing so far. So I'm really excited
Yes,
to
I've
dive
started this
in.
book before, and so now
So
you've
good.
inspired me to pick it up again and restart just because of this one image, one quote from him, because it
Yeah.
really is truly awesome.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's interesting because like the so when you come across a problem, what is the first thing that starts happening is you get in your head, and your head is going to pick pieces out of this problem and like make some like crazy scenarios that might not ever happen, and you're kind of going down all these different paths, and you're like, oh, what if this, what if this, what if this, and it's just this cycle of madness. Like it's crazy. And the first couple of chapters in this book really break that down, like about this voice in your head, why you listen to it, and what you really need to do to start kind of getting out of this spin of listening to this inner voice that is like probably drunk half the time in terms of their thought quality, so this quote really like stuck out, and I wanted to like pluck this out to talk with you ladies about, just because I feel like if you are aware of that inner voice and you kind of put that aside and look at your problems objectively instead of having all of the opinions of this inner voice, putting things in your head, it would be a way different approach to solving problems than it typically is.
yes, for sure. And don't you think we are our worst critics? I mean, like we're hardest on ourselves, we're judgmental of ourselves, we don't give ourselves grace. And so all of that is that inner voice that the outside world thinks, we got it all together, or we don't have any problems, or whatever, and that they don't realize all the inner chatter that is going on
It gets
because
loud.
it gets really loud.
And
Yeah.
you kept saying like we don't give ourselves grace, we don't like, that's all the inner voice. And it's like, why are we listening to that inner voice again? Like remind me, well, like, can you show me your credentials?
And Julie
Right.
calls her the noisy roommate, and Michael Singer calls it the
The inner roommate.
inner roommate.
Yeah.
So it's having that extra voice that's just giving you all these negative thoughts, images, predictions that 9 times out of 10 aren't even gonna happen.
Yeah. So
Right.
like
That's so
if you put that hat on, right, and read this quote again, like, to attain true inner freedom, you must be able to objectively watch your problems instead of being lost in them. So being lost in them is that concept of this inner roommate, this noisy roommate, this inner critic, whatever you want, however you want to name this voice inside of you. But to attain true inner freedom, try to just block that noisy roommate, that inner roommate out, and just look objectively at the problem at hand, and it's going to really just shift your perspective and in your approach on how to go about solving whatever problem you have.
Exactly. And when I think about, pulling back, meaning like the analogy that I learned from Julie Ciardi is the difference between observing a situation as a scientist or as, no, I lost it. Help me, girls. Um, the judge, right? We are easy to, we are really accustomed to putting on the judge hat and judging ourselves, judging others, judging the situation, all of that, having some opinion about what's going to happen, what you think. And instead, pulling back, like, what does this say? You must be able to objectively watch your problems. So if you're watching your problems or the situation at hand, it's you became third person. You became third person in that moment. So you pull back and you're now an observer. You're now the scientist. You're not emotionally involved in the situation. You're able to objectively look at it because you've removed yourself from, the forest, so to speak, so that you can actually pull back and see, what's really objective happening in that situation. I think that's been so helpful for me because there's been times that I have been um highly emotionally charged, like irritated, ticked off to a high degree, and a decision had to be made. And so in that moment, I I didn't know what to do because if I made this decision, so and so wasn't gonna fare well over here, and if I made this decision, I was gonna lose. It was like either one person wins or you win, and nobody really wins, right? When you're all emotion, it doesn't ever go down. And so what I did in that moment was pull back, and in my mind, I became that third person. I became the watcher of the problem. And I no longer had emotion. So I was literally removed myself up here looking in on the problem. And then I played out. So if I decide to approach it this way, how would I feel? And I was like, oh, like I would hate to have, you know, make that decision because one, he's gonna he's not gonna like it, like I may feel like I'm winning in that moment, but in the end, it's not gonna be good for that relationship. And then I pulled back and I replayed the scenario another way, and I'm like, if I just am really, hardcore, it's my way or the highway. I may feel like I won, but that's not also going to be good in that situation. And finally, I pull back and I'm like, okay, this is the answer. It's that middle ground. But I had to pull back because I was so emotionally charged about the situation and I could not see straight.
How did you know to do that? Like, this is something that I'm still working on, and I get emotions get in the way sometimes, and then you have this
Mhm.
voice that's like feeding into that emotions, like, well, this person is wrong, and it's like, chattering in your head, and like, it's
Yeah.
like, how were you in that situation able
And
to take that objective look?
so in that situation, I called Lauren Wingate because she was the one that helped me to literally get out of the thick of it because I was in the thick of it. And she was the one that helped me to pull back. Okay, let's observe this. And literally in my mind's eye to play out three different ways that the situation could have gone based on my this next move. And after her helping me to play it out, I was like, yeah, this is definitely the decision that I want to do because we both are going to win, and it feels like I'm true to myself. I'm not like stomping on a relationship that I value, but yet I feel like I'm not losing.
And Lisa, what I love about that is in some instances, in some problems that we have, we can't solve them ourselves because we are so lost in them. Sometimes we need help. And you had mentioned that you called Lauren Wingate. And for our listeners, we do have a podcast interview with her. So if you want to re-listen to that message, she's an intuitive success mentor, and she has been a huge part of our lives. And I would just want to hit on the fact that you asked for help, that you knew that it was more than what you could handle mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the things. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying to find the best way to solve something extremely important in your life. There's no, it's not a bad thing to go ask someone that you know, love, and trust to help. Let them see it from the outside. Like you were talking just a little bit earlier, Lisa, how you had to like pull away. Well, sometimes getting someone who's even further away to be able to listen to your side of the story, listen to how you're weighing it back and forth and what's important and how to move forward to come to some sort of resolution. And I think that's so brave, but so just genius. On the other hand, like it's okay. It's okay to ask for some help when you feel lost and burdened sometimes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I mean, like problems come up. They're always going to come up. There's always going to be something.
Right.
And
Whether it's in your job, your
yeah,
marriage, friendships, parenting, all the things. There's problems daily that we
Yep.
can
Right.
get lost in and just create this tornado of drama and emotions and start to spiral down that tornado if we're not careful of trying to look at our problems objectively and be
Right. And
able to ask for
and
help and to talk to somebody about it too.
for sure. And I think we need to be wise about who we do reach out to, because we all know the friends that are going to commiserate, take your side, tell you to, do the emotional thing, your way or the highway because you deserve it, like what he did that, what, this is happening, no, like they are right in there getting lost with you in the situation. Those people you do not want when you're feeling lost in it. You definitely want to make sure that who you reach out to. That's why I appreciate Lauren so much, because she is so objective. This is her gift. This is her, gifting to be able to help have that objective look and help you to weed through the forest when you can't see. For sure.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that, of being around people who you think have the best of intentions of helping you through something, because you don't want to get into a crowd where everybody's going to start bashing husbands,
Right.
bashing in-laws, bashing the new girl in the Bible study, bashing the new mom in class, because
Wait, is there bashing that's done in Bible study?
I didn't
I feel like that's kind of like an oxymoron.
because you get into just a group of women, and some women, I know, Sarah, I'm sorry.
I've never been to a Bible
really
study.
bad.
It's an honest question.
I know,
I
but
love it.
it's just more of where you think you're in a very safe place, whether it is with friends, wherever, and negativity starts to rise and
Basic,
people
yeah.
just talk, and women tend to do that, where if they don't feel good about themselves, they'll start talking negatively about other people. And that's just not a great place to get advice from. So yes, being very careful of who you are seeking your advice from is super important. Professionals, not just your best friend every time, because you don't know, she's not in your headspace, she's not in your marriage, she's not parenting your children. It's all different. Personalities play a big, huge part in that too.
Yes. and
So
humans show up at Bible studies, and so we
that's good
come
to
in
know.
with our baggage.
That is very true. See, that's what I meant. It's baggage. We are not pure. We are not perfect by any means whatsoever.
Well, I could join a Bible study. It wouldn't be I wouldn't be shunned, or would I be the one getting talked about? Like, who is that girl?
No, gosh, no.
And I mean, as long as you're with humans, you're gonna have issues, right? I mean,
But it's
it's
interesting
just
because like we're talking about two things here. Your inner roommate and also this outer roommate for, just to kind of show the parallel between the two terms, because you do have the outer influence as well that will kind of get in the way of your inner freedom in a way. So, this inner roommate, which is that voice in your head and like something, trying to look at problems objectively and hushing the voice. But you do have to be every friend, and I really feel strongly about this point. Every friend serves a very unique purpose in your life. And some friends are there for these types of situations where you can bounce ideas off of them for a particular problem. And other friends are there to go out and have a great time or to go to Bible study or whatever else the thing is that you're doing with them. And they all serve a very unique purpose, but you need to be careful and cautious with how you're opening up with certain people based on what their purpose is in your life. So I feel like that's kind of what you're touching upon there, Kelly, is being careful about the outer roommate as well.
yeah, I totally agree. And I was thinking as you were talking, Sarah, how um sometimes we hear that inner voice, but it's a voice that was spoken from someone on the outside,
Ooh, that's
meaning could
good.
be a mom, a critical parent that always, said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." I mean, I can think of a couple of examples. I'm not going to name names, but like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do that?" Like just planting that little seed of doubt that breeds that lack of confidence. And I see that played out in this person's life, and the awareness has been the key, right? Being aware. But that was both of the parents have died, but yet that voice still is in his head because it's that repetitive, right? It's our habits, our habitual thinking. They don't just pop up and all of a sudden we believe this, or we have a lack of confidence. It's been the drippy faucet since little on, and now we're going, why am I doubting myself? Why do I lack confidence in this area? I know I have skills. Well, it's because that voice is still there.
It's
It's
so like, oh my God, Lisa, that's so good. So, oh, this is making me think also about just because of all of the external influences and them kind of getting, planted into your subconscious and all the things, is the inner voice that you have is just completely making things up based on all of these other experiences that you've had or the people that you've encountered, and there's really no weight to it. So you're battling this internal struggle trying to solve this problem with no basis of actual truth. It's all just opinions, your opinions you hold of yourself, opinions from others that have kind of stayed with you. And that's the chatter that's happening. And that's the
yep,
chatter that you're approaching these problems with, which is not a very productive way to approach solving a problem.
right. And from the inner work that I think all three of us have been really taking to heart, it's the difference between listening to our head, where all the chatter is, where that inner roommate is planning doubt, fear, insecurities, all of that, to listening to your heart, right? Like, what is it that I really want? What do I value? That when we listen to our heart, the answer's there. It always is.
And that's what
For
Lauren helped you with, right? With the heart set versus the
Yep,
mindset.
yep.
So good. This was another amazing conversation as usual. So just for our listeners, we'll put the title of this book in the show notes as well. But again, it's The Untethered Soul: The Journey Beyond Yourself by Michael Singer. I mean, it's been a hugely impactful book for me so far, and I am only a portion of the way through. So I definitely recommend, if this conversation is making you think a little bit, just in how you are approaching different things in your life and different circumstances that come up. I definitely recommend this book. And I posted about it on my Instagram a few weeks ago when I first got it. And several people messaged me saying that it is one of the books that they read often, and that they just are, it's been a huge shift in their life just by reading this book. So definitely recommend it. If you want to go and give us a follow, you can find us on Instagram at Wake Up and Dream Podcast. That will also be in the show notes, along with all of our information, so you can connect with us individually. And we're so glad that you joined with us this week for this conversation. And we hope to see you again on next Thursday. And thanks so much.